layers in After Effects are flat. They have an X and Y coordinate that represent height and dimension. You can move a layer, but you can only move them along those axes. This means that they are two-dimensional. You can turn on the 3D layer switch so that you can also move an object along its Z-axis, which is depth. In this lesson, we'll discuss how to turn 2D text into 3D, use the different 3D views to preview your text, add a background, add 3D lights, add a different camera, and export files to Cinema 4D Lite. To create 3D text, first create a text layer and add text. Go ahead and format the text if you want. You can change the font, size, type, color, etc. Once you're finished, click on the Selection tool in the Tools panel. Go to the Timeline panel and click in the 3D Layer Switch column so that the 3D layer switch appears. If you look at the transform properties for your text layer, you'll see the Z-axis. There's also a new property below opacity called Material Options. Now look at your text in the Composition panel. The red arrow controls the X-axis, the green arrow controls the Y-axis, and the blue arrow controls the Z-axis. Let's go to the bottom of the Composition panel and click on the Select View Layout menu. We're going to choose 4 views top. However, if you have a small monitor, you may want to choose 2 views. In 4 views, the top shows along the Y-axis, the front shows the view from the front, the right shows you the view from the X-axis, and the active camera shows you what the camera sees. The only problem is all the text looks flat. It doesn't look three-dimensional. Let's click on the front view. The orange triangles in each corner let us know that the front is now the active view. Go back to the 3D menu and choose Custom View 1. If you look at Custom View 1, you'll see that the text now has 3D qualities. Now let's import a background and add it to our composition. As you can see in our Timeline panel, we've added Lesson 10 Asset 1. We also need to click the 3D layer switch. Next, we're going to make sure that the background layer is selected and then go to the right view in the Composition panel. You can drag the Z-axis to the right, which moves the background layer behind the text even further. Go back to the Timeline panel and adjust the position for the background layer. When you add light in After Effects, it shines on the other layers in your composition. You add light to your compositions to create shadows. Those shadows give depth and make things look more three-dimensional when you look at them from the front. There are 4 different kinds of light in After Effects: parallel, spot, ambient, and point. As with anything else in After Effects, you can modify them to achieve the look that you want. To add a light, make sure that the playhead is at the beginning of the timeline. Then go to Layer, New, Light. All light starts with a light layer. You'll then see the light settings dialog box. Name the new layer and then choose the type of light that you want. We're going to choose Spotlight. Choose a color and then adjust the other settings. These will depend on the composition and the object that you want to feature in the light. Click OK when you're finished. Note that the point of interest, which is our text, is in the crosshair in the Composition panel. Now let's position the spotlight. To do this, select the light layer in the Timeline panel and then press P so that you can see the position property. Move the light so it's above and in front of the object. Now you can go back to your text layer and adjust the Materials Options properties to adjust the surface properties of the 3D layer. In addition, you can set the properties for shadows and light. Take some time to change the Material Options values and see how they affect your text. If you don't like a change that you make, you can go to Edit Undo or press Command or Control Z to undo it. Camera layers allow you to view other 3D layers from different distances and angles. Let's explore how this works to see the effect it will have on a composition. To create a new camera layer, go to Layer, New, Camera. You'll then see the camera settings dialog box. Let's choose 35mm from the preset dropdown, then click OK. If you look at your Timeline panel, the camera layer is on top of the layer stack. The new perspective given by the new camera layer is shown in the composition panel. Make sure you switch to active camera view. Now let's switch to two views horizontal. This shows us how our camera is positioned. Now we can make the camera move. To do this, go to the timeline panel and select the camera layer, then press P. Create a keyframe by clicking on the stopwatch beside position. Then change the Z-axis value. Move the playhead to a different location, and then change the Z-axis value again. You can make the camera move closer or further away from an object by doing this. With Cinema 4D Lite, you can insert 3D objects into After Effects without pre-rendering passes. You can import 3D objects, create 3D objects, and edit 3D objects with this program. You can export After Effects files to Cinema 4D and then use the Cinema 4D program to create and edit 3D objects if you know how to use the program. However, you need to first make sure that our coordinates line up between After Effects and Cinema 4D. For example, 000 is in the upper left corner of the scene in After Effects. It's the center of the screen in Cinema 4D. To make sure they line up, we use a null object. Go to Layer, New, Null Object. This will create an invisible layer. Select the new layer and then click the 3D switch so it becomes a 3D layer. Now select the text layer and then command-click on the background layer. For us, it's Lesson 10 Asset 1. Go to the parent column in the background layer and select the null object layer. Select the null object layer and then press P. Adjust the X and Y values for the position property to 0. Now go to File, Maxon Cinema 4D Exporter. You'll see the Save As dialog box. Save the file and then import the file you saved back into After Effects. Drag the Cinema 4D file to the timeline panel. We placed it between the Lite and 3D text layers. In the Effects Control panel, we now see the Cineware effect. Choose Software or Standard from the Renderer menu, unless you're ready to render your project. In this case, you would choose Standard Final. We're going to choose Standard because software creates a very low resolution file. In the Camera menu, choose Comp. We chose this so we can use the camera we created in After Effects to refine camera motion. Now if you take a look at our composition, you won't see the text layer we had in After Effects. Cinema 4D did not export it. We're going to use Cinema 4D to create extruded text. To do this, go back to the project panel and select the C4D file. Go to Edit, Edit Original. This will open Cinema 4D Lite where you can create your extruded text.